Hey everyone, Daniel Whitlow here. So in our last video, we were talking about taking the top shaft apart for this 3010 to replace the synchronizers. I forgot to shoot an intro clip to this video. So this video is covering all about assembly of that top shaft and, spoiler alert, getting the tractor back together. This is all done. We'll talk about all that in the end. I've got some adjustments that I think need to be made with the shifter linkage, and or maybe getting some slop taken out of the shifters, but I'll touch on that at the end. So yeah, stick around and we'll show you all what it takes to get this back together. The first piece to go on the shaft is this collar here. This is the old one, and I actually started this video a couple weeks ago and got nowhere with it because the new one, if you look, there's a chamfer cut right here. The new one didn't have it, and so it wasn't seating all the way on the shaft because of the tool relief on the shaft. And you'll see here in a minute, get the snap ring in. So in case any of you are ordering one of these and get a new one, make sure it has the chamfer cut in here. I had to take it to a machine shop and get that relief cut in there. So we'll go ahead and get this on. And one thing that bothers me is, I don't know if you'll be able to see it in the video. Looking at the teeth there, I swear the point on the top teeth is not centered, and I don't know if it's supposed to be like that or not, but the bottom ones are. I don't believe this piece is directional, so oh well. We're gonna go with it, and hopefully nothing comes back to bite me in the butt, because this is literally the first piece in the whole process that goes back together. Of course, when you go to press this together, make sure you've got your Woodruff key in here lined up, and I'll go ahead and just press this on here. So we got this collar on, and I swear they made this gear just a scotch too tall. I've got it seated. You can really tell in there, but it's seated, and I still barely got that snap ring in. I got it close and I had to tap it in, and even then on this side that snap ring is sitting a little, don't want to say crooked in there, but it's all the way to the shaft. It's not like it's only half engaged. I don't like it, but alright, I gotta remember the next piece to put on now. Alright, the next piece going on is our new shift drum, and don't be like me and put it on the wrong way. And honestly, I did half of this already, or what I'm about to show you here, and I had to take it back apart. Then pinion goes on, and then we have this partial snap ring. This is the one that was a bare kind of. When I first took it off, I couldn't figure out how best to take it off. Turns out I just used my really wide snap ring pliers, put it down towards the table, and then just pressed it down and off, and it pops off with, you know, some energy. And then to get it back on, the best solution I have found is just put it like this, and I'll take some pliers or something and push the sucker on. Don't like this. You know, springs can house a lot of energy. There we go. Okay, so we got that on. Then this shift collar goes on. We have our Woodruff key that goes in. And let's see here, I can get that tapped down a little bit. What I did with a little hammer. This is directional, so if you will, the little teeth go up when facing like this. We'll tap this in. Okay. Now I've got our snap ring that goes in here. I'll find my snap ring pliers. There we go. All right, I think that looks good. And on to the next step. One interesting thing here is, if you guys watch my other video, this is not the order in which you take it apart. So it's kind of interesting. The last pieces to be taken off was down here, but right now we're actually building the shaft back up this way. All right, now it's time to put on our reverse blocker. And you're supposed to, the manual says you're supposed to have a special tool. So inside each of these 4 points here, you can see them, are little bitty springs. And we got little bitty, almost like balls, bearing balls. And what I'm going to try to do, and we'll see if it works out, and what someone told me to do is try and put like one in, get it tilted a little bit, get it in, try and get another in, and keep kind of putting all 4 in. I've got a bunch extra. Good news is my dealer had quite a few in stock. So let's see if we can make this happen. I was watching John Stevens from Maple Grove Farms. He was working on a 4020. He said, "Oh, in the next video we'll show you the tool I used to do this." Well, he hasn't posted that video yet, so John, I doubt you're watching, but this video may get delayed, or I may have to ask for help again, or I don't know. All right. Well, I did it. I only lost 1 ball. I think it's somewhere right down here on the floor, but I can't say for sure. So I did kind of what I was told. I guess first off, I got all the springs in, and then, yeah, I started with, well, I don't know that it really matters. There's a groove on 2 of these. That kind of helps you because you don't have to get it up as far to get that ball in on those 2. But yeah, I got 1 in and tilted that a little bit, and you got to be careful. What I kept having happen was when I'd go to push it down and on, it would go in the groove down here. Well, then it's caught and it doesn't want to come up enough to let these, get in. Well, then of course, as soon as I bring it up, things go flying again. So I got this one, and you just got to be careful just to bring it down just a little bit. Enough that this thing is tilted and you can get the ball in this one. And so I would put the ball in place, and then I would set it with the screwdriver like this, and I'd kind of put my finger on it to make sure it didn't go flying. Then I would just gently just push that one down until it was captured. Again, not too far. And then this one, and then actually I ended up, once I got these 2, I did this other side that doesn't have the groove, so that then, this last one, I got the least chance of having to come up too far to, throw these ones out. And I got that one in, and then at that point it can click in place. That's fine. So, 1 down, or, technically 4 out of 8. So now we've got our discs that can go in here. Got all new disc sets. And we got our reverse drum to put on. So we're stuck together. Oops. And I think down here, got the new reverse drum. Oh, look at that. A thing of beauty. I need to go find some Gorilla tape and tape that together. All right, so now we gotta put our reverse pinion in here. And then we gotta go press this bearing cone on and then snap ring on top. Okay, so we've got this together, got our snap ring in. Didn't really take much force to put that bearing on. Now we flip things over and we gotta install these discs. Let me think here. Missing one. Ah, left one in the box. All right, so there. This might get interesting because we'll have to line those up to the blocker in a little bit. All right. Now we've got our high-low blocker. Same thing, 4 springs in here, 4 little balls to go in. And just see what we're dealing with here. So this one I won't get the luxury of using like these grooves here. None of those grooves line up with where the balls go. All right, well, I'll let you watch for a little bit if you like. We'll see where this goes. This one may be a little bit more difficult because I got this kind of wall here. Didn't really have that with the other one. So turn this, so I don't know if you can see this. I got the ball sitting there and I'm going to press that one in. There we go, got that one. So let's see if I can go to the second one here. And without releasing this one up, I'm gonna set a ball in there. Lost that one somewhere. Dropped somewhere in here, and I lost that one. Oh, I see it. Well, shucks, it went down in there. Well, guess now's the time to flip it over and get it out, huh? Oh, that totally stinks. That ball is down in there somewhere. And that thing won't come out. Well, no point in you watching this until I get that out. Good news is I got it out, it came out. Bad news is went on the floor somewhere. So, all right, our ball count is officially at 3 now that we've lost. Who knows, we might find that one later. Laying on the floor somewhere. Alright. If I don't get it this time, then we'll just cut to whenever I get it. All of them. So I was told to do this on a day that I was patient and take the phone off the hook. Obviously, someone older than me used that expression. And yeah. Oh, if you can't, I forget if I mentioned it, I put some tape around there. So hopefully that doesn't happen again, at least go down into the other discs. There we go. There's one, but it's... I don't like how... There we go. Ay, ay. And I almost need a smaller screwdriver than this. Don't fall. Don't do it. It's not worth it. There's two. There's three. Oh, I need this one back here to come up. That release. As I was saying, that one come up without releasing the others. And it did. Somehow I got lucky enough, and I saw where they went on the floor. Alright, let's just skip to when this job is done. Well, I finally did it. I think I only lost one more ball. Sadly, I'm not sure where it went. It went down here somewhere. But then, like, I took everything apart again, tried to shake it out, and I didn't hear it rolling around in there, so I must just not have heard it land somewhere. We got my last set of discs here, and we'll put on the other new collar. We'll flip this over and tape this all together. Man, that the first one had me fooled. The first one, I lost one ball, and I thought, oh, you know, that wasn't too bad. That one was a lot harder. There was a lot less room to be working in there on this one, so the high-low range. All right, then down here I've got my other new drum. So then to make sure everything gets lined up, we'll flip this over. Where I gotta get all of these. All of these. There we go. All right. Now we gotta tape all of that together. I don't want that coming apart. No way, Jose. All right, we got that taped together. I had that laying on the table here. Must have just a little incline. It started to roll as I was starting to rip the tape. About had a heart attack and died right there. So thankfully that didn't happen. So we got our, whoop. There goes the snap ring. Pinion to go on. We got to press this bearing on. Whew. At that point, this last snap ring. Hallelujah. We have ourselves one rebuilt top shaft. Now to go put it back in the tractor, and curious to see if that was harder. I think putting the tractor back together is going to be harder, but we'll find out. Boy, feels good just to have that back in there after, shoot, it's been months since I started this project. I had to manipulate the ranges a little bit to get it down and in. This end goes in first. I need to go look at the manual. I think we put our oil pump together, and then someone told me once that's all together, I believe to hammer it back before putting on this end cap, and we may have to take away some shims to get the right clearance. All right, one step at a time. An important thing is don't let these come apart. Hopefully I got them taped up well enough. All right, with the shaft in, just kind of sitting there, but I got that outer race or outer cone tapped in there for that back bearing. Now, before I can really put the front on, since the oil pump is what is kind of holding that race in, we're going to reinstall this. Got it pretty well cleaned up. It may look worse than it is in the video, but it's clean, and we'll put the oil tubes in, then we'll work on adjusting the end play in that shaft. All right, we got our hydraulic oil pump back in. Something you can't appreciate watching these videos is, I hate to admit it like that, I don't know, hour or more it took me to get this back together. Probably just comes down to inexperience, but this bottom bolt down here, man, that one fought me. And then not only that, getting the locking tab somehow punched to keep that bolt from coming loose. How you get down there to do that locking tab, it was just a real pain. Anyway, so that's together, and I think at this point we can tap this shaft back to make sure that outer race or outer cone is seated against here, and put on the front cap and adjust the end play. Okay, so what you're supposed to do is mount a dial indicator to the front of this shaft and then adjust the shims in here to get you 1 to 4 thousandths. As per usual, I put it together. Oh, and someone once told me be careful not to take away too many, because if you take away too many and then you go to bolt it down, you will snap this because it's cast. But anyway, I had what I thought was the right end play. I had like 2 thousandths when I put like a pry bar in right here and wiggled a little bit. But it turns out I was reading just deflection, and I figured that out because I wanted to make sure that the shaft, which this here on this bearing and that bearing back there weren't, that's what you're adjusting, weren't too tight. And you can see when I wiggle this, that all wiggles. You get that paint chip out of there. I had to take out a number of shims. I think I was surprised, but when I first put it in there, it was nowhere close. So I had to take out 4 shims. And yeah, anyways, I had it too tight where I tightened it down, and then I thought I had the 1/2000, and when I wiggled it, it did not move. And I noticed when I went to loosen these a little bit to put the lock tabs on, then everything did move. So I knew something wasn't right. So I added 1 more shim in, and we seem to be good to go. And I believe now is the time that we put our shifters back in. And I hadn't got a comment, though not many people watched my other video. This piece here, I took this out, the bolt, because the manual said to. I'm curious whether you really have to do that. So if anyone is watching because they're bored but they know what they're doing, I'm curious to know if that had to come out or not, because that was kind of a pain getting out. And yeah, just like I said, the time it took back there, this took a while because I bet I had this piece on and off probably 5 times, making sure that it was right. But it's critical, of course. Don't want to get it together and find that this is bound up. So, all right, moving on to the next thing. All right, after much frustration, I finally got these in here. By the way, that Gorilla Tape, I put a bunch of it on initially because any other tape I was using wasn't working very well. And even when I put the Gorilla Tape on, at first, it didn't seem like it was holding it well. Well, it was holding it well by the end. I don't know if it soaked into the tape or what, but it was a bear getting out of here. So maybe if you're doing this, just tape it like 2/3 of the way. Don't tape it underneath the shaft, because getting it out from underneath the shaft on both sides was a pretty big bear. So anyway, I kept watching my old video of how I got these out, and it was weird. I took this one up and out, then took that one up and out. For the life of me, couldn't make that happen to go back in. And so I had to put these in kind of together, got them in their slots down there, and now I'm gonna praise to God that I can get that nut back on, and then I think we might be ready to put this back together. Then I'll have to confirm my videos in the book. So let's see if we can get that nut on. All right, so we got that. Didn't drop it. If you go that route, what I did was down through here, I shoved in a paper towel so it couldn't drop that way. And then through this hole here, you can see my finger down here, shoved a paper towel in that way. So if I dropped it, it didn't go anywhere. Got it on. Eventually what I did was I put my wrench on that, and then I actually used the shifter to tighten it. So I'd hold the wrench, and then if you pull up on this, if you pull down on it, then it's tightening it. And I'd pull the wrench off, pull this all the way up, and then put the wrench on, and then pull that down. I kept doing that until that was pretty well tight.
Big box end.
And then you set your end shaft here, your play. Got that, so there's barely any play on that. And I believe we are good to go. And I remembered I've got these 2 washers here. Don't want to screw that up. We got a new gasket. And who knows how this will go together. Da-da-da-da. Back together. Now, that took hours. Over the course of a week. And it just comes down to inexperience. I'll just call it what it is. So, everyone says don't use the bolts to press it together. Makes sense. Wasn't doing that. The first thing to line up is your shaft. So we got that engaged, and then opened the access port to the flywheel. I'll show you on the other side here. Then like I confirmed I had engagement because as I rotated, well, once it was engaged right, it popped together a little bit, and then when you spun the flywheel, it spins the shaft. And then it just would not come together the last 7/8 of an inch, and I couldn't figure it out. And so inexperience in me, right inside here are the gears for, I believe, to the PTO. I'm not sure, but right inside here, they weren't meshing. So I just had to go in here with a screwdriver, and once I got them lined up, everything came together. Now for me, what we did was we had a come along, I had my stand here, I got that apart. Ran a ratchet strap from my stand around the fender, one on each side, so then I could work it on each side a little bit. So I was pulling straight. And whew, finally. So yeah, once those gears mesh, then the dowel pins are what engage. So that top dowel pin, we got that one started, and then we had to work it a little bit to get the bottom dowel pin going. And once the dowel pins were together or lined up right, it just rolled right together. Something to note is, I'd have to look back. I had the stand as far back as I could. Granted, the wheels were probably like right here. And this thing was teetering a little bit. Like if I pushed on the front, it was wanting to do a little bit of this. So just be careful. And that's what was nice about the ratchet straps, was it was pulling, not pushing. So you weren't trying to pull or push this thing over. It was trying to pull it along and keep it upright. So yeah, let's go to the other side real quick. All right, so we got our flywheel access port here. I'm going to stick a pry bar in here. And I'll try and do this without being too shaky. So as I move the flywheel, can you see, here, I'll do it right here. Can you see that gear turn right here? Maybe if I get closer. Hey, there we go. So, now we just got to hook up a gazillion things and go from there. So honestly, I got to look back and see the order at which I did things. I think I want to wait to put on the rock shaft housing. Maybe not, cover that up. I realized I didn't put oil in these when I put them together, so I'm going to dribble oil in here, get them good and soaked before anything gets started up. And yeah, I may just call it quits for the day. But all in all, went well. Everyone's safe. And really excited to have this back into. Enough jibber jabbering. Let's move on. All right, so I had called it a day there. I got a few things hooked up. Like this brake line took me forever. Just getting it straight and lined up without burgering the threads. That was just a pain in the process. This brake line broke. I think it was compromised even before I tried putting it back on. So I got a new one ordered. And I still need to hook up my linkages down here. But I think I'm going to go ahead and put the rock shaft on. Got a new gasket. And so when I put this on, I guess one more thing. I mentioned inexperience in getting this and why it took me forever. No, it was plain stupidity. The first line in the manual says, put the two halves of the tractor back together. Second line said, make sure the PTO gears are aligned when you do it. So all I had to do was read the second line, which I didn't, and there goes hours of my life. So don't do that. Read the manual. That's why you have the manual. I mean, I should have looked in there anyway, probably sooner to see what was the holdup, but neither here nor there. So got a new gasket. When I install the rock shaft housing on, it's important that there is a roller in the load control selector that interfaces with that piece there. I'm a little confused with the manual, just to be honest, because it says that the roller should be on the back side, but that doesn't make sense to me, because if it was on the back side, this could just flip over and wouldn't do anything. So I'll try and get a video of it here in the air and see where that roller, I'll try and show you the roller and where that should be on here. All right, so you can see I got it hanging in the air here. What we're trying to focus on is, so this is towards the front of the rock shaft housing. This roller right here between these two washers has to go on the back side of that linkage, the cam follower. So, this could be interesting. So just to make sure I'm not crazy, I'm looking at the diagrams in the manual. This is the front of the tractor towards the right. And you can see, so right here is that roller, and it is on the back side of that link right there. So I'm gonna let that down. Doesn't look like there's much room, but somehow I gotta make sure that that link is on the forward side of that roller. So I'm lifting it by these arms, and I wanted to make sure that wasn't going to cause a problem. So hopefully I can show this here. I got it seated right now. So I was trying to figure out, whether I should have this down so that is moving the arms down versus up. So you can see how this is working inside there. Down, up. So I believe up like that is going to give me the best clearance to fish that piece up in between there. All right, we about got this thing landing. If you look, we got that piece with the roller on the back side. It's in between those washers. I think we're good to land this. All right, admittedly, I just went and pretty well finished everything up. So once I had that landed, we bolted that down to 85 foot-pounds, like the manual calls for. And then I just kept going at it. I mean, it's all, I don't think there was too much really to explain. Put in the lift arms back on. I was wondering why that pin wouldn't like rotate up in. Well, it turns out if you're struggling to get that in, move the arm, swing it in or out. I think it was out, and it allowed that to face up more to get it up and in. So I realized that when one went in real easy and one did not, it's because the arm was swung way out, made that a lot easier. Otherwise, yeah, I got my wiring hooked back up. All that's back together under here. My backlight, everything. I got the covers on. I forget if I said this in the last clip. This brake line I have on order, and silly me, the gasket for this, I forgot to order that initially. So I'm just waiting on that gasket and this brake line, and then pretty well done. I've got the battery box in place over there with the battery ready to hook up. One thing about the linkages, turns out you can hook these up backwards. So initially I was running through the gears, looking at the transmission, how they were sliding. I was like, man, how these are moving doesn't make sense for what I'm doing up here. Well, it turns out I had them backwards. So in here's the spring for park. So make sure that's on this back guy here. It makes sense when you're going up and down. Let's see, where am I at here? Up and down, right? I mean, eventually that's going to press in to park, so that's the one you want to be operating. And then your high-low is this one here. I'll go ahead and show a clip here from my other video kind of showing how that works. So right here, this front one, that is your high-low synchronizer. And back here, you have your reverse synchronizer. So whenever you go to shift, and like I said, when you are in a given range, say 1/3 and first reverse, you can shift in between those gears without rolling, or I'm sorry, without stopping. So I'll show you here. Right now we're in park. Okay, so I'll come out of park, and then I'm going to go up to first, and you'll see so that the high-low went into low range. And so I'm going to go from first to third. So again, staying in this range, first to third, it's going from high range to low range in that quadrant. Okay, so I'm going to go from high to low. It's going to move that front one back. Okay, see that? And now you can see I'm in third. All right, and then from there to go into reverse or first reverse, you'll see that this synchro here moves up. Here we go. Boom. There is first reverse, as you can see there. So I'll show you here again. Say I went to a different range. Okay, that is shifting lower in the transmission. I guess if you can see here to here. Okay, but then same thing. When I go to shift, I'm going to go second, fifth. It's just changing the I guess actual range, if you will. Like first, third, second, fifth shifts down below, but then second, fifth is still this move right here. And then again, we'll go in reverse. The synchronizer will move forward. So inside there are just a bunch of tiny little clutch plates that are making sure that those are synchronized so that you can shift without stopping rolling. But as I'm kind of pointing out, the gears below, it's just gear to gear and so on. That is why when you go to a different range, you have to stop the tractor, because shifting here is shifting. I mean, you can see the shifter linkage down there. It's moving it down in the bottom of the transmission. That's gear to gear, so you can't be rolling, or you shouldn't be rolling while you are doing those shifts. And so we're ready to, I think, put this cover back on. Yeah, I got just every other line hooked up, cotter pins in, the shifters there. I'm trying to think if there was really anything else I missed. Like I said, I just kind of went on a roll, but it's just time consuming, but pretty well self-explanatory. So hopefully my next clip here, I'll have this brake line on, this gasket on, all that bolted down, and then we'll start this thing up and take it for a little test drive. Moment of truth. turns out to bleed the hydraulics. I just had to, I just worked the steering wheel all the way to one side, all the way to the other, just kept working it back and forth, and I got all hydraulics back. I'm a little concerned in that, hopefully I shouldn't have gone deeper in the transmission, but it does not like to go into eighth. It's like it gets stuck, not stuck, but it gets caught between two gears and it grinds. I had it happen a time or two going into seventh also. It's like it just didn't quite settle in the right spot. It makes you think it is, but it's not. So I may have to look at the linkage a little bit more, see if there's a little too much slop or play in there. But otherwise, I'm going to call this job complete and time to move on to other things. So thanks for joining and watching. Hopefully you learned something, or let me know if this helps someone. Subscribe, like, all that stuff. But plenty of projects coming up, some 2-cylinder stuff. I got other new gen projects lined up, and yeah, we'll go from there. So we'll catch you all later.